And now we will call this meeting to order. The first item on our agenda is the approval of today's agenda. Have each of you had an opportunity to look at that agenda on your brand new computer device? Okay, I call for a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. And the next motion up is the approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
I make the motion.
So moved.
Somebody say something? Okay,
Can you guys hear me? Karen, can you hear me?
not very clearly.
I can hear you, but I can't hear anybody else.
Do you have your talk buttons on, guys?
I
Yeah,
have mine on now.
yep.
Okay, we're doing our best.
Okay, got it.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion for approval of the minutes. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor of the
Aye.
motion? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It also carries. And now I think I turn it over to you, Mallory? Okay.
Yep, that'll be fine. All right, this is an exciting meeting for us. We haven't met here in a month or two, and we have two new commissioners with us today. So I did want to start just by having all of the commissioners introduce yourselves. And then I would like to introduce you to our human resources team, who you will see over the next several meetings as we carry out our business. Who wants to start? Any of the commissioners, if you would go ahead and introduce yourselves.
I'm Gerald Thomas. I'm retired.
I'm Pat Zamora. I'm also retired.
I'm Mike Schurtz. I'm just excited to be out of the house.
I'm Toby Payone. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Karen. Ladies first.
I'm Karen Guest. I'm General Counsel of IMAG Corp.
I'm Toby Payone. I'm not retired, but I am certainly glad to be out of the house.
Great, thank you. I am Mallory Merritt, the Human Resources Director, and with us today, I have many members of the HR team. Courtney, do you want to start?
My name is Courtney Jones, and I'm the Talent Acquisition Manager for the City of Davenport. I'm Christina Montanaro-Berkeley, and I'm the Assistant Director.
Hi, I'm Allison Zerker. I'm the Benefits Manager for the City of Davenport.
And I'm Kari Thorne. I'm the Administrative Assistant for the HR.
All right, so if you need anything, if you ever have any questions, anything like that about the agenda, feel free to reach out to anybody from our team, and we will do the best that we can to answer those questions. All right, the next item is the chair and vice chair appointments. Rule 1.1 says that at the first meeting of the year, you will elect a chair and a vice chair. That did not happen this year just because we knew we had some new appointments coming up and then we didn't meet. So we do need to take care of that today. So I would turn that over to the commission to make those designations.
Okay, I presume that's me to run it till we figure it out. Okay. Do we have any nominations for the position of chairman, chairperson?
I'll nominate you.
Are there any other nominations for that position? If not, we'll call for a vote. All in favor of me as the chairperson, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Wasn't my plan. Yeah, get it done quickly. Okay, we'll have nominations for the vice chair. I nominate Mike. Okay, anybody, any other nominations? We'll let you new guys take a little time off.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor of Mike as the vice chair?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I think that's done.
All right.
All right. I think I thank you, I'm not sure. Okay, the next item up is the clerk appointment. Mallory, how do we do that?
Yes, so similar to the last agenda item, 1.1 also says that you will appoint a clerk of the commission. This person, by the code, is the one who's responsible for the administrative side of the commission's work, which would be like if there's an appeal or something of that nature. Generally, that has been a city staff person because we are here, we're occupying the office. In most other cities, it's the HR director. We did a poll of this, I think, whenever we did the last appointment of me sometime last year, and that was kind of what we found. So I'm happy to continue serving in that role, but we just need to formalize it again.
Okay, is there anybody who makes a nomination of Mallory for the clerk of the commission?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you, welcome back.
Thanks.
Okay, so who is going to give us the second quarter personnel and hiring update?
Yes, ma'am, I will do that. I did want to just give a brief update on our hiring strategies for right now. I know that obviously with COVID-19, that has changed a lot of government's hiring strategies, even private businesses. So just wanted to provide that brief update to you. We are continuing to hire, especially for our essential positions. Our essential personnel positions are more important to us right now than really ever before. We are moving those timelines forward at really the normal pace. Other positions, we are applying, I would say, a heightened level of review just to make sure that that position is a position that we in fact have to have right now. So we're just trying to be more thoughtful in how we're recruiting. And that's, I think Courtney will speak to some of that, just some of the modifications that we have had to make. We're utilizing technology more than we ever have before with interviews and all of that, just because it is presenting some challenges in being able to bring people on site for large scale testing. So things are looking a little bit different right now for us, but you can be assured that we are moving forward. And I think you'll see that today with the number of lists that we have ready for your approval.
Okay. And let's see, we have the recruitment update. Was that included there? Is that?
No, so because we do have some new commissioners and our police officer recruitment process is one of the largest that we do in the city, also a very, very important recruitment for us. I've asked Scott Van de Woestijn, who is part of our HR team, to give a brief update for you on what that recruitment looks like and how it's changing.
Thank you.
And a brief update, oh boy, okay, I'll whittle this down. So my pleasure to be with you this morning. Scott Van de Woestijn, I'm the Talent Administrator. I also run the hiring process for police officer. So I thought what I would do is give you kind of a holistic approach to how we approach it. As you know, the hiring of police officers in any community is a critical hire. So we're looking for the best of the best, the best ethics, the best integrity, and those that have a deep-seated passion to serve and protect in our community. So the typical process for hiring of police officers runs from anywhere from 4 to 5 months from time we open the applications to the time when I'm bringing a certified list for your approval. So we opened up applications on March 1st. They were open for 5 weeks. We had 131 applicants that applied. In reviewing those 131, I disqualified 20 who didn't meet either the educational requirements. We do require at least 30 college credits or some educational substitutes as far as active military duty. We also disqualified some for not meeting the minimum requirements or having criminal history or in their backgrounds, of course. So at this point, we have about 111 that are moving forward into the next phase of the process, which actually begins a week from tomorrow. It's our physical ability and written examination testing. So the state mandates the physical ability testing component. It encompasses 4 components: a sit and reach, which tests flexibility, push-ups, sit-ups, and a 1.5 mile run. And again, those are state mandated by the state legislature. Every candidate going through that particular process has the answers to the questions. They know based on their age and their gender, how many sit-ups, how many push-ups, what the time they need to have or pass in the 1.5 mile run. So that's the one exam that we tell everyone that you actually have the answers for the test before you even take it. So those candidates, after they do the physical ability testing and successfully pass that, they then move on to the written examination. Again, this is a state mandated component. This covers 4 sections: arithmetic, reading comprehension, grammar, and incident report writing. And candidates must pass each section by at least 70%. And once they do that, they then move into the most comprehensive component of the process, which is the background investigation, which there is a police officer or detective at the police department that is assigned to each candidate, and then they thoroughly review the background. Again, we're looking at their background, their history, their ethics, their honesty, their rock solid integrity, and their passion to serve and protect our community. Again, we're looking to hire the best and the best. Once they successfully pass that component, they move on to the final stage, which is the chief's final interview. Chief Sikorsky and his command team will then assemble an interview panel to do the final interview, to finalize the process. And once that is done, those that successfully pass that component are put on the list, which will then be presented to you probably in July. So once that process is done, we got the list. If the list is certified by this body, then Chief Sikorsky can then of course hire off that list. At this point, we're looking to hire probably at least 2 that will be sent to the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy, which is in Camp Dodge, which is in Johnston, Iowa, just north of Des Moines. It's a 16-week academy where they learn the fundamentals of law enforcement and case law. Once they successfully pass that 6 weeks and graduate, they come back to the Davenport Police Department where they enter the Field Training Officer Program, which is about a 4-month program where they're teamed with a variety of field training officers, senior officers of the police department, where they learn the specific Davenport way of law enforcement and the policies and procedures and the way we do business here. Then they successfully pass that, then they're a solo police officer. So it is a very comprehensive, multifaceted, holistic approach we take, but it's one that we feel that is vital to the safety and the protection of our community. So I would entertain any questions you may have of the process. Yes, Mr. Morrow.
How many positions do you anticipate? I mean, will you continue to hire off this certified list until it's used up? Or?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And at this point, we're looking at some retirements that are going to be occurring. So kind of looking forward, there may be some hired off the current list that is still active, I think until June. I can't remember the date. And then this list that I'll bring to you in July would then be good for 1 year. Our lists are always good for 1 year. And they can have up to 30 names on the list.
All right, thank you.
So, yes, thank you.
Questions?
Okay, well, thank you. I'll see you in a couple months with the list.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so next we're going to do some qualifications for some positions. Courtney's going to take care of that.
So I wanted to give just a brief introduction to this. One of the commission's most important jobs by the code is to establish qualifications for positions. So from time to time, you will see us bring forward positions. We are looking for you to tell us that the qualifications that we are proposing are either okay or they are not. So that's the purpose of today. We do have 3 of those. And this is really the first part of a hiring process, is we want to make sure that the qualifications for the candidate are appropriate. And then from there, once you approve that, then we go and actually start the recruitment process. So this is just step 1.
All right, so the first position that I'm bringing you today is the chemist position. The reason why I'm bringing you this position is because after further review of the qualifications...
Excuse me.
Yes.
I don't hear as well as I should. I'm going to get some hearing aids.
That's okay.
Right now I don't have them.
No
Can you
problem.
speak a little more slowly?
Sure.
Thank you.
No problem. So with the chemist position, I want to review the current qualifications, and I'll go ahead and I'll read those qualifications to you, okay? So the qualifications, as they stand right now, state that a bachelor's degree in chemistry, biology, or bacteriology, and 2 years of responsible laboratory experience in the wastewater field, or an equivalent combination of training and experience. One of the things that myself and the supervisor of this sector have talked about that is very difficult when it comes into the recruitment process is the fact that it currently states that you have to have at least 2 years of responsible laboratory experience, specifically in the wastewater field. The wastewater field it's a very small field. So what we have discussed is that with training and further education, we could actually hire someone who doesn't necessarily, a chemist, who doesn't necessarily have to have experience specifically in the wastewater field, as long as they have experience in an accredited laboratory and have a degree in chemistry, biology, or bacteriology. Or an equivalent combination. We certainly wouldn't want to be, exclusive of those who don't have a bachelor's degree, but have years worth of experience in an accredited laboratory. So what I'm coming here today to ask you is to remove the part that says must have responsible laboratory experience specifically in the wastewater field. That is the part that I would like to eliminate so that we can make this a more inclusive application process.
I have a question. How many chemists are there?
How many chemists do we currently have?
Yeah, or how many are there?
So right now we have an opportunity we currently have 2 chemists working, and then we have an opportunity for an open position.
So there'd be plenty of opportunity for these existing ones to train somebody that didn't have a lot of experience.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't see a problem with it. Like I was going to ask that he did, there'd be people to train, and then, of course, there's, I'm sure, myriad guidelines. So if you were a chemist and understood chemistry as well as I don't, there'd be guidelines to follow, right?
That is correct.
So I see no problem with it.
And this is Karen. I will tell you that I do have a degree in chemistry, and I think that it's very feasible for somebody that you learn a lot when you're a chemistry major, and I don't think it would be difficult for them to pick up these procedures.
Thank you.
Okay, so then you're saying it won't affect the quality of the product, so to speak, by having somebody who doesn't have actual experience in that field?
I would agree that I do not believe it would affect the quality of the product with the necessary training that our current chemists would be able to give this onboarded chemist without specific wastewater experience.
Are the current chemists aware that they might be required to train somebody new in specifics?
Yes, and we actually have a supervisor that would be leading that charge.
Thank you. Okay, what would you like us to do? Would you like us to take a vote on removing that particular thing? Okay. Is there someone making a motion?
I will. Make
I
the
can
motion.
move.
Karen?
Yep, I move.
Okay, she moves. Now we need a second.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor of the
Aye.
motion? Any
Aye.
opposed? Hearing all ayes, we're good to go with the motion passes. Okay, the next one.
The next position that we'd be looking at is the horticulture supervisor position. This is actually a new position for us. So within the Parks Department, we have a golf supervisor, we have a parks supervisor, and we do have a horticulture division, but we don't actually have a horticulture supervisor. So this is a position that we would like to bring forward. With that said, specifically in the qualifications, I would like us to look at those and make a move for approval should you agree with those qualifications set forth. So the qualifications include a bachelor's degree in horticulture, landscape architecture, or a related field, or 5 years in an equivalent combination of training and experience in horticulture and greenhouse operations. You'll notice that I always include the or because I don't want to eliminate anyone who doesn't necessarily have a degree specifically in that field, because that person may have a wealth of knowledge and have worked in the field for many, many years, okay? The next part of the qualification is set to obtain and maintain an Iowa Pesticide Applicator Certification within 1 year of employment. So during their first year, they have a whole year to obtain that certification, okay? The next would be to possess a valid Iowa driver's license, which must be maintained through city employment. That is because they would be driving our city vehicles from each park. So it is necessary for them to maintain a valid driver's license. They must pass a criminal background check and a physical as prescribed by the city. This position is laborers, and so we need to make sure that the person who is hired to do the job is qualified to do the job. We also need to make sure that we have a background check on them, given that they are working with the public continuously, okay? And then they must become an Iowa resident within 2 years of their hire date and maintain residency throughout the duration of their employment. And that's an Iowa code, so that's simply that must be maintained.
Okay.
How many people would they be supervising?
Yes, so I believe, and Betsy Tubbs, do we want to grab her? I just want to make sure that I'm correct in my statement, so I'm going to grab the supervisor of that department. So Betsy, if you want to come up to the, and Betsy, if you would state your first and your last name and your title as well.
Betsy Tubbs, Senior Parks Manager for Danville Parks and Recreation. This position would supervise 2 full-time employees as well as a team of seasonal employees of 6.
Is there a candidate working for us now?
Yes.
Why is there a need for this position now as opposed to why hasn't there been one? What has changed?
Approximately 5 years ago, 6 years ago, don't quote me on that, we did have a full-time horticulture manager. That position was one that was cut through a decrement exercise. I have served in that role, and while I can serve absolutely in the budgeting side of things and the administrative side of things, I do not have a horticulture background. So we've made do in the meantime, but as we've had 2 individuals retire, we've decided that a supervisor position was missing. So that's the.
So there had been 4 employees in the horticultural department, and 2 of them have retired, is that correct?
Correct.
So this one person would take the place of those 2?
As a supervisor, correct. And we will backfill in a horticulture tech position, which we already have an active list for.
So there would be, the 2 retirees would be replaced, and then the supervisor would be added?
So ultimately, at the end of the day, we would have a supervisor, 2 hort techs, and then we have a park tech position that is going to be filling in as well there. And those are positions that you have approved recently.
Okay, no, but I'm just saying that, so the previous staffing level will be slightly reduced, but with the addition of the supervisor.
It would be the same number of people based, different titles.
Okay.
Going back from from the past 5 years.
All right.
Karen, anybody else, any questions?
I got kind
I'm
of,
good.
I've got one.
Okay.
What, horticulture, of course, is plant, but what everything? Mowing, trees, plants, roads, how many trees cut down, what all's in this?
So the horticulture division oversees, obviously, their number 1 priority is Vanderveer Park, the 40 acres there and all the beds in the conservatory. But this horticulture staff is also responsible for any plant beds that you'll see, sign beds in the various parks. They also assist, if there's a project and somebody needs some horticulture expertise, they will call our staff and just ask questions.
Okay.
Are they also responsible for the flowers in the medians?
No.
Okay, anybody else, any questions? All right, I presume you need a vote on this also. Okay, I would accept a motion on the matter of a horticulture supervisor position.
I move we accept it.
Second, thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. My tongue is tied. Any opposition, any opposed? No opposition is heard, therefore the motion passes. Okay, on to the next one.
Okay, our next position is the Systems and Security Engineer position. This too is a new position. And so if we specifically are looking at the qualifications include a bachelor's degree in the field of computer science and 5 years of relevant work experience, or a combination of relevant experience or relevant education and experience to carry out the duties as presented. This would also include extensive application support experience with Active Directory, VMware, Microsoft Exchange, Adobe, and Microsoft Office, and then must possess and maintain throughout the duration of employment a valid driver's license to be able to drive to our different facilities should we need that employee to do so.
I guess I have one question, not just necessarily about this, but all the new positions. How does this affect the city budget? I mean, these all may be needed positions, but you keep adding people and you keep raising property taxes.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So all of the positions that you're seeing today have already been approved by our city council and are included in the adopted budget. So we're not bringing forward positions that HR is saying, we think you need this position. These are positions that have already been through the budget process and have already been established by our city council. All we're here really doing now is just establishing qualifications and running the recruitments to satisfy kind of the council's directive in this. So each year around the budget time, so between about September and February, department heads and staff can propose modifications to their budget. The city council also adds input, so there could be positions that the council believes are priorities. They can ask our city administrator to carry those out. And then we bring, usually January, February, staff brings forward for city council review a balanced proposed budget. We take input on that, and it's usually adopted in about March. So this position in particular is brand new. And it was one that the city council authorized to start, July 1. So we don't have that position right now. The money is allocated for it on July the 1st.
Will we have someone to fill the position by then?
It's likely so. The other thing I would add is that most of the time, whenever you see that we're bringing forward new positions, it's very rare that those positions are new money to the budget. So most of the time what we are doing is we're reviewing positions and we're saying, okay, we don't need this one anymore, but we can repurpose it and use it this way. So it might be a new position, but most of the time it's not adding money to the budget. It's just kind of repurposing money that's already allocated. This one I do want to just let you know is different. This is a new position kind of on the top. So, yep.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. And do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
I'll call for a vote. All in favor of the motion regarding the new Systems and Security Engineer position, signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Anybody opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Geez, we're good today. We're just very agreeable. Okay, up next.
All right.
All right, just to introduce this section here. So what you will see in each meeting is the staff, depending on who ran the recruitment, will give you a presentation on whichever list we're asking you to approve. So today we have several. Courtney is going to present all of these that are on your agenda today. And there's kind of a basic order that we use. So for each position, she's going to tell you a general overview of the process. So did we give a written test? Did we give a practical? Did we give an interview? She'll also let you know if these positions are part of any union. In your packet, you'll see the wage scale for the position, just so that you kind of have a frame of reference for what this position is. She'll go over the qualifications. And then probably the most important part is sharing the process statistics with you. So how many candidates applied, how many advanced to which section, how many moved forward, how many passed, how many failed, and then ultimately how many are on the list. So that's the general way that we conduct these meetings. And then behind that, you will see some additional statistics for you that are a breakdown of the candidates by gender,
Race.
Yep. So
And age.
several different statistics for you. Those are just for information only.
And for those of you who are new, upon the completion of the presentation about the position, a paper list is brought to us. I presume we're still doing that on paper.
Yes, I have those here. So when she's finished, I'll bring them to
And
you.
then we each sign it, showing our approval. Okay, thank you.
All right.
All right, we'll get started. The first position is a street maintenance worker. This is actually a promotional position of ours within the Streets Division of Public Works. We took the written exam at 100% of the overall process, and you'll notice that this position in particular is part of the Teamster Union. So some of the minimum qualifications that I want to make sure that we outline are you have to have at least 1 year of successful experience as a general laborer or an equivalent combination of training and experience, and you must possess and maintain throughout the duration of your employment a valid commercial license, Class B. With the street maintenance worker, it was, again, an internal promotional position. We had 5 applicants. 5 of the candidates were in fact qualified and invited to participate in the examination. All 5 candidates passed that examination, and that's why we have 5 today on the list for certification. Any questions on that one? Okay. Again, we have another promotional position. This one, the street heavy maintenance worker. It's within the Streets Division. You'll also notice that it is a Teamster Union position, and similar to the one before, we went with an examination of 100%. For this particular position, you have to have 2 years of progressively responsible experience in installation, cleaning, maintenance, and repair of municipal services and facilities, or a combination of training and experience. And also, you must possess and maintain throughout the duration of your employment a valid Iowa commercial driver's license, Class A with an air brake and tanker endorsement. For this particular promotional, we had 4 applicants. All 4 candidates were qualified and invited to participate in the examination. Of the 4, 2 candidates passed the examination. You'll see that 1 candidate actually did not show for the test, and then 1 candidate withdrew from the process. This is why we have 2 on the list for certification today. Next up is an entry-level position as a packer driver loader. The examination is at 100%, and you'll notice this one too is part of the Teamster Union. For this position in particular, you have to have at least a high school diploma or a GED. You have to have 1 year of successful experience operating a solid waste collection vehicle and equipment or related equipment. You must pass a background check with us as well as a physical examination prescribed by the city, and you must become an Iowa resident within a 2 year of hire date and maintain residency throughout your duration of your employment. This position was quite a bit larger in the fact that we had 51 applicants. Of the 51 applicants, 34 were qualified, meaning they met those minimum qualifications that were just discussed, and they were invited to participate in the examination. 18 candidates passed the examination with a 70% or above, 14 did not show, and 2 scored below the 70%. On this particular examination, you're going to notice, and I want to state this, Rule 2.8 states that the commission hereby determines that no more than 15 individuals shall be placed on a list for original appointment for all positions except for police officer and firefighter. So you're gonna see that 3 candidates actually tied at the 15th place. So what do we do in that situation? We keep them on the list. So you're gonna see that instead of your normal 15, you're gonna see 17 because they tied at that 15th place, okay? Maintenance specialist. This too is an entry-level position for us. It's within the facilities maintenance division of Public Works. We went 100% with the written examination, and this too is a part of the Teamster Union. With this position, you have to have successful completion of vocational or high school level courses in related areas, or 2 years of experience as a semi-skilled maintenance or repair person, or the equivalent combination of training and experience. You must have a valid Iowa driver's license, as you will be expected to go from facility to facility. You must pass a background check with us and a physical as prescribed by the city. And again, you must become an Iowa resident within 2 years of the hire date and maintain that residency throughout the duration of your employment. For this position, we had 33 applicants. 31 of the 33 were qualified and invited to participate in that examination. 14 did not show, and 8 actually scored below the 70%, leaving us with 9 candidates that passed that examination and 9 on the list for certification today.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
When it says you have to become a resident of Iowa within 2 years, it doesn't mean Davenport specifically?
It does not.
Okay,
That's correct.
thank you.
Natural Resource Technician. This is an entry-level position within the Natural Resources Division of Public Works. We actually did a split with a written examination at 30% and the interview at 70%, and this too is a part of the Teamsters Union. With this position in particular, you have to have a post-secondary college degree. This could be an associate's or a bachelor's in horticulture with natural resources or a related field, or a minimum of 3 years of equivalent work and related experience. You must possess, or we want to give them the option to be able to obtain it within the 6 months of their hire date if they don't have one, and maintain throughout the duration of their employment a valid Iowa commercial driver's license Class B with air brake and tanker endorsements. You must possess and maintain throughout employment a valid Iowa driver's license, as you will be driving our equipment. You must obtain and maintain a valid commercial pesticide applicator license, this can be done within the first 60 days. And this is a part of the overall training, so I want you to know that this isn't something that we're just like, okay, you need to do this on your own. This is instilled within your training as you enter our facility. You must obtain and maintain an Nwcg certification. That's specifically for brush burnings, okay? So we need to make sure that they are trained and safely trained in that. They have a year to do that. And then obviously they must pass a background check and a physical with us. They too must become an Iowa resident within the 2 years of hire date and maintain residency throughout the duration of their employment. For this particular position, we had 27 applicants. Of the 27, 19 candidates were qualified and invited to participate in the examination. 7 did not show, and 1 scored below the 70% on that written examination. 11 candidates passed the examination and then were invited to the interview. And of the 11, 9 candidates passed the interview component and 9 are on the certification list today. Chemist. This position initially was a promotional position, or is a promotional position in the Water Pollution Control Division of Public Works. This position is split with a 30-70, and it is an AFSCME union position. For this position, you have to have a bachelor's degree in chemistry, biology, or bacteriology, and 2 years of laboratory experience in the wastewater field, as we had discussed earlier, or an equivalent combination of training or experience. Luckily, we did have someone internally who did meet those qualifications prior to us being able to change it for future candidates. We had 1 applicant. The candidate was in fact qualified and invited to participate in the examination. This candidate did pass the examination and was invited to the interview, and the candidate did in fact pass the interview. This is why we have 1 on the certification list today for our chemist. Our construction inspector. This is an entry-level position in the Capital Improvement Division of Public Works. We took the split of the 30-70, 30 in the written examination, 70 in the interview, and this too is an AFSCME union position. With this position, you must have a high school diploma and 3 years of experience in concrete construction inspection or related sub-professional engineering experience, or graduating from a 2-year engineering technology program and 1 year of sub-professional engineering experience. Work experience must include those functions that were listed above. You must be able to obtain the following certifications within the first year of hire and maintain those throughout employment. And that is something that our managers really do work hard to make sure that people are making sure that they pass and then maintaining those throughout employment. And then again, you must become an Iowa resident within 2 years of that hire date and maintain residency throughout the duration of your employment. For this particular position, we had 37 applicants. 29 of the 37 were qualified and invited to participate in that examination. 1 person did withdraw, and 13 did not show, and 7 scored below the 70%. 8 candidates passed the examination and were therefore invited to the interview. Of the 8, 7 candidates passed the interview, and that's why we have 7 on the list for certification today.
Question?
Yes?
What would you do not to pass an interview?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the way that the interview is graded, it's based on a number component. And so oftentimes a reason why someone may not pass an interview is because they simply do not have an answer to the question. We run into that sometimes where someone just, for whatever reason, they just can't answer the question. And so we give them the benefit of the doubt, meaning that, we'll let them know, you know what, let's skip over this one right now, and then we'll come back to it at the end. And so we'll come back to it at the end, and sometimes for whatever reason, they simply just aren't able to answer that.
Thank you.
Our park technician. This is an entry-level position in the Parks Operations Division of the Parks and Recreation Department. We did a 30-70 split with this one, and this is a part of the Teamsters Union. So with the park technician, you have to have coursework in horticulture, turf grass, supplemented by 2 years of increasing responsible experience as a greenskeeper, gardener, or turf maintenance worker, or an equivalent combination of training and experience. You must possess, or again, be able to obtain within the first 6 months of hire, throughout duration of employment, an Iowa commercial driver's license, so your CDL. You must obtain a pesticide applicator certification during your probationary period. You must pass a physical examination and a criminal background check as prescribed by the City of Davenport. And again, you must become an Iowa resident within that 2-year period and maintain residency throughout the duration of your employment. For this position, we had 34 applicants. Of those 34, 15 candidates were qualified and invited to participate in the examination. 5 did not show, and 1 scored below a 70%. 9 candidates passed the examination and were invited to the interview. Of the 9, 1 did not show. Of that, we had 3 candidates who passed the interview, and that's why we have 3 on the certification list for today. GIS Administrator. This was a promotional position within the Capital Improvement Division. We did the 30-70 split with the practical examination and the interview. Just the difference between the written examination and the practical examination for you all, they're actually given like a specific case scenario that they have to modify and work through versus a written test where it's an A, B, C type of answer. So I just wanted to make sure that I had clarification on that one. And this is a non-bargaining position.
What does GIS mean?
Yep, it's actually a geographical information system. So
What does that mean? Excuse me, what does that mean?
Yeah, so I'll actually, to have someone speak further on it, just because she's the expert in it, I'm gonna grab Nicole Gleason and have her speak to you a little bit more on that. Oh, just kidding. Clay Merritt will be joining us. Clay, if you would just state your first and last name and then also your title.
Clay Merritt, I'm the capital manager. I work out Public Works. So GIS is generally in regards to mapping. So a lot of the times you see maps produced by the city, that's kind of the front end for the system. So if you want to map, streets, sewer, storm sewer system or something, that's what GIS does.
Thank you.
Do we have to do that very often?
Yes, absolutely. So we have a complete inventory of where our sewer system is, where our manholes are, where our intakes are. So anything that is a physical asset of the city, we maintain in our system, and that's within that software.
Thank you.
So the minimum qualifications for this particular position include graduation from an accredited college or university with a bachelor's degree in geography or computer sciences, or an associate's degree in geographical information systems, programming, or related field, and 5 years of experience or substantial experience as a GIS professional or an equivalent. We look at many different options. For this particular position, we had 2 applicants. Of the 2 applicants, 1 candidate was qualified and invited to participate in the practical. The candidate did pass the practical and was invited to the interview. The candidate did pass the interview, and that's why we have that 1 candidate on the list for certification today. Firefighter Engineer. This is a promotional position within the suppression division of the Davenport Fire Department. You're gonna notice that this is a bit different than the 100% overall written test or the 30-70 split. And the reason for this difference is because it was actually brought to the commission several months ago before we went through the recruitment process to go through a different type of breakdown, okay? So you have a written examination worth 45%, you have a practical, which is worth 45%, and then you have the interview, which is worth 10%. I will make a note for our new members here today that the interview was a component that had never been done before. The interview was actually a new component this year around. We feel that it's extremely important that as candidates continue to move up the ranks, that they continue to practice those interview skills because they are expected at higher ranks to perform an interview and are graded on those. And you will also notice that this position in particular is a part of the fire union. So minimum qualifications include a completion of 1 year of satisfactory service at the rank of firefighter first class with the Davenport Fire Department. So what does that really mean, firefighter first class? That means that at that point in time, they would have had at least 3.5 years as a general firefighter. So they have 3.5 years under their belt before they're able to apply for this position. It requires an Iowa Chauffeur driver's license, as they must be able to drive the equipment. For this particular position, we had 24 applicants. 24 of those candidates were in fact qualified and invited to participate in the written examination. We did have 3 that did not show, and then we had 6 that scored below the 70%. 15 candidates passed the written examination and were invited to participate in that practical. 15 candidates passed the practical and were invited to participate in the interview, and those 15 candidates passed the interview. So that leaves us in an interesting spot because even though all 15 pass, by the code, we can only put 10 on the certification list. So how do we pick those 10, you might be asking? They're selected in score order. So the top 10 scores, that's how we get that top 10 list, okay? That's all I have for you.
Wow, you had quite a few today.
I did.
I got to get back to my beginning. Okay, so,
Ms. Chair, can we ask Kari to please see if there's anybody in the lobby that would like to address the commission on any topic, just because we're trying to practice social distancing. We have kind of 2 groups of people going right now, so I would just like to give people the opportunity to make an address.
that'll be fine.
Okay, no one wishes to do so.
All right. Now, is our next step, I'm not sure I paid enough attention when I wasn't supposed to. Is our next step to vote on these individually or to?
If you could take a formal action on these collectively, that would be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, unless there is some opposition to one of the positions, you could do it as a group.
Okay, so my first question to the commission is, do you agree that we can take this as one vote rather than individual votes.
I move that we do it as one vote since there's no objections.
Okay?
Second it.
Karen?
I agree.
Okay, so then do I have a motion with regard to all of the presented positions?
I make the motion.
I move that they be,
Okay, we
I move
have,
they be approved.
I'm sorry?
I move that they all be approved.
Thank you. And we have a second?
Yes.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes and the list will all be signed.
Mallory, it's Karen. Since I'm not there and can't sign the documents, can I authorize somebody else to sign my name?
I
How do you want to
will,
do this?
yep, I will speak to our city attorney about that immediately following this meeting and reach out to you individually if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so understanding that we don't leave until we've signed the list, is there a motion for adjournment? Second?
Second.
All in favor of adjournment at this time?
Aye.
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 Okay. Any opposed? We are adjourned. Do note that the next meeting, I believe it said June 10th.